One for people who wish to speak, and one for people who are just attending. So if you haven't been able to sign up, you have this opportunity to do it. Is there anyone else that would wish to speak? The speaking. Okay, do we have any board members present that would like to speak first? If you would, please state your name, even though we know who you are, and just go ahead and you can talk.
Well, my name is Andrew Warwick. I've been involved with the shelter on Shelter Road there for going on about 10 years now. First as an employee under New River, then in a volunteer capacity for the Fayette County Humane Society. In all the time I've spent out there, I have never seen a staff take the beating like they are taking now from certain individuals. And that's what it all comes down to. I have spoke with you, Mr. Brenneman, Mr. Burnett, we've spoke. John, whenever me and you talked, you know, when they first posted this job, I talked to you, I told you the staff is worried that all this stuff on Facebook, that these ridiculous lies and all that stuff that was being blasted out there, the director being charged with crimes and all, you know, all this stuff that was posted and we never heard nothing. And then the listing for the job was posted. I told you, I said, the staff's kind of worried, you know, they're worried about their jobs. I mean, you talked, you assured me it was nothing like that and that you would be down there the next day, that morning to talk to them. They're still never seen you. Greg, me and you talked. I've known you a long time. I thought we had an understanding, and then I see these complaints, you know. I have never heard from anybody about any of these complaints. None of these complaints was ever brought to the attention of the staff nor myself. I know you two have my information, you have my number, we've all talked, never heard anything from anybody about, and some of these complaints, I mean, are serious complaints. I myself, I mean, I would have been wanting to get to the bottom of that immediately. You tell me animals are being neglected. What is it, cash donations? But worrying about the donations that was being taken in, you know, this is stuff that I would have wanted to come and find out about. We never heard enough. Okay. I want to address a few of those. The volunteers turned away, a lot of people who follow the shelter and actually go to the shelter and know what goes on at the shelter. We've been overcrowded for a long time now because we don't put dogs down for space and we have to take in every dog that comes our way. Every dog that the public brings up there, every dog that the animal control brings in there. So we're constantly overcrowded. Fire crates. When we get parvo, the shelter gets shut down. That is the only time that volunteers would be turned away. Volunteers are not going to just come up and be turned away. Now, there are a few volunteers that I have stated, other board members and staff know that we don't want up there. And it was the same way with those certain individuals coming up there because they are drama. They want to make people look bad to make themselves look good. They want to get all the popularity of doing good for the animals without putting into work. They want Facebook pictures and that's it. Now, other than that, volunteers are not turned away for no reason. Now, if we have parvo, like I was saying with parvo, we shut the shelter down. You don't want people walking in and out of there because the other dogs at risk, other dogs in the county at risk. The cost of the vet bills. The ones that cost the most are usually the cruelty case animals that come in, and the decisions are not the staff's decisions. They're not the board decision. We don't sit around and say, well, this dog needs this or this dog needs that. We take them to the vet. What the vet says is what we do for that dog. That's not one individual from the Humane Societies. That's not their responsibility to make that call. Unable to reach shelter staff. That was one of the concerns. I'm sure you guys know, we reached out to Ruth before about the number on the website for the longest time was the wrong number. Wasn't even the number to our shelter. That was on the website, and we have text messages with conversations back and forth with Ruth discussing that. Not to mention the Wi-Fi at the shelter is constantly up and down. It's been a hassle for years now. The Humane Society employees making important decisions without discussion with the board. What decisions? You know, we don't know. Because anytime we talk to you guys that you're doing good, none of these have ever been brought to me, have been brought to the staff. Give me 1 second here. And as for the vans, we give the keys over, just like the letter from the lawyer, whatever required. The one van, we was under the impression that the Humane Society paid $15,000 for that van. That was our van. Now that was, Walker was acting as interim director. So I'm not really sure about where them records and stuff are kept. Even so, we did turn in both the keys, just like your letter said. In order for us to get out of the shelter, we need to start moving this stuff. And just like with your letter, we're complying with your letter from your lawyer. We've not taken anything. We are waiting for the go-ahead from y'all to get our property, the Humane Society's property, off the premises. Which we had talked about 30 days. And we had come up with an October, what was it? If October 18th, that's a little over 30 days. We have rescues lined up for dogs that are going out. And if that could be, if you could give us that courtesy, that would help us a lot. We would have already been able to get some of our stuff moved out of there. As you guys know, you told us not to and took our vans, which also limited us on taking animals to rescue, vets, what the vans are used for. All right. And now that's just some of the concerns that I noticed in you guys' letter that you all posted in your response to the post that we made. Okay, you know what I'm talking about? Oh, good. You're looking confused.
What are you asking? If we know what we?
No, I'm making sure you guys that we're on the same page here. Okay.
Well, I'm not on Facebook, so.
The Humane Society's post. The response, that's the complaints that I just went over, okay? Now that's that. Now, as for the staff, I tell you, these guys, every day, they go, in a perfect world, you'll go in there and all the food and the water bowls are good and there's not poop everywhere and everything's great. That's not how it is in reality. There's with over 100 and something dogs. For those of you who's actually been to the shelter, when there's dogs there and walk through, those dogs don't sit quietly and look at you while you walk through. They are jumping, they are barking, they are raising hell, they're knocking over bowls, they're throwing poop, pee everywhere. Okay, that's just how it is. All right. A lot of these complaints that staff is just sitting there doing nothing. It's hard for a staff member, and I can speak on this because I worked there. I worked all day long cleaning kennels to watch one member of the public go back, and all your work all day is done because there's food, there's pee, it's everywhere. It's a mess. Okay. And then normally how it goes is you let the people go and do their thing. When they leave, you go in there and you clean. I mean, that's just how it is. And we wouldn't be overcrowded but we have to take in everything. If we have dogs coming in left and right, we get 10 out, 20 come in. Our cat building has been, I've never seen the cat building like that. Our animal control has brought in more cats in the past month than I've ever seen animal control bring in 10 years. I mean, and the vet bills on those cats, that's what we pay. You know, we pay the vet bills. Our expense reports, we send in every month. Our donation reports every month and our adoption reports, we send those to Ruth every month. Everything's accounted for. I'm not real sure where the worrying about the audit is. We had, you know, we expect an audit. I talked with you guys when it was going on with New River. You know, I get it. It's part of business, it's part of life. Audit. Whatever we can do to help you, audit. Check it out, whatever you need. You know, we're good to go on that. We go through compliance. As for the donations, cash donations, we take cash donations, we take their name, it's all written down. We do expense reports, we put the money in the bank, we send it to y'all. I mean, that is what it is. And if you guys would have come to me with some of these complaints, come to me or met with the staff, we could have explained any of this. And my personal concern is that you guys are listening to these people, these certain individuals, and that have personal vendettas, that are just, I mean, they just have personal issues. I'm not going to just blast everybody out by name, and I'm sure that you guys can see, you don't need me to tell you, you can see how some of our biggest supporters, you know, back us up 100%. Well, all of a sudden they get, you know, they're meeting with county commissioners and all this, and now they're attacking us on Facebook. You know, that worries us. That makes things hard for us. That makes things hard for this staff. And I'm telling you, these guys go above and beyond every day. Every day. Nobody's posting on Facebook how when the dog was shot in packs and the animal control officer was nowhere to be found, how one of the staff members, for free, in their own vehicle, gets up and drives all the way over there to pick this dog up. We're not obligated to do that. I said no, but it needed done, right? So she does it. Takes the dog to the doctor, hospital, whatever, in Charleston all night on her own time. Nobody ever says anything about that. When we get calls about dead cats laying in the middle of the road dying, animal control says, oh, I'm off. I'm not coming at it. And then one of us have to go pick up the cat, meet with Oak Hill Police, to get the cat, you know, do all this. You know, nobody ever says anything like that. When the staff has to stay up there late, when they have to stay after 5 o'clock, and they do that for free, they're not getting paid for that. When they have to use their personal vehicles to take these animals back and forth to the vet. Now, I'm sure all of you got animals and had to take them to the vet, you know, one dog or your cat. Well, it's a little bit different when you've got 6 dogs in wire crates in your personal vehicle, taking it to the vet or to the rescue. And, you know, I've got to say, I am truly disappointed. There's a couple of you guys, I thought that, you know, if any of these issues, if these complaints were legit, that, I mean, myself, I would have looked into that immediately. And my number's been made available. It's really concerning that nobody has ever bothered to reach out. In fact, when I talk to anybody, it's always, you guys are doing great. You guys are doing great. The only time we hear any slack is when a member of the public comes up and tells us what they hear up here from Ruth or other people in the courthouse. You know, and then there's me. I've got to go in and tell the staff, you know, no, you don't listen to that. You keep your heads up. You know, you're doing right. They're happy that, you know, everything's good. And it's not. And with that, I'm done. Thank you, guys.
Are there any more board members that would like to talk? Okay.
I'd like to ask a question of this gentleman, if I could.
Sorry, couldn't hear you.
You must ask me a question.
He wants to ask.
There'll be a time for questions from people. Once we get done with, first we're going to do the board members, then we're going to do staff, and then we're going to turn it over to the public, for the people that signed up to speak. Okay, so any staff member that would like to talk?
My name is Fallon Wakefield, and since December of 2023, I have had the honor and the burden of serving as the director of the Fayette County Humane Society. And I need you to understand this. This has never been a job to me. This has been my life, my heart, my soul, and I have put everything I am into this work. I've given up time with my family. I've worked countless unpaid hours I've sacrificed my health. I've lived at that shelter until it became more of a home to me than my own house. This job breaks you. It's exhausting, backbreaking, emotionally crushing, but it also gives you the most incredible gift. To look into the eyes of an animal who once lived in hell, to show them safety, to show love and a future. This is why I've kept going. This is why my staff has kept going. And tonight behind me sits that very staff. The people who choose to show up every single day. The ones who, along with me, get torn down over and over again by people who smile in our faces but stab us in the back the second we walk away. So commission, let me ask you something. Can you point out every single staff member sitting behind me? Can you tell me their names? Can you tell me the weight that they carried, the nights that they cried, the sacrifices they made, and the chaos you have all created? You can't, but I can. Because they are not just staff to me, they are my family. And I can tell you without hesitation, I would never want anyone else standing beside me in this fight. They deserve your respect too. And in just these 3 years, we've done so much good. We've become partners with Best Friends Animal Society. We've rescued more than 400 cats from one single rescue partner. We vaccinated and microchipped hundreds of pets. We created a doggy day out program. We've built a following of nearly 17,000 people whose donations go directly to the animals. In my very first month as director, we have raised enough to feed every single dog and cat for an entire year. We saved cruelty cases so horrific that most people couldn't look, but we didn't look away. And yet, instead of support, we have been met with nothing but opposition. When you took away the vans we used for transport and vet runs, you didn't punish me. You didn't punish my staff. You punished the animals, the very ones you claimed to care about. You made it harder to get them to rescues, harder to get them the care they needed, and harder to save their lives. When your attorney's letter was made public, only one person rushed to love it, your own animal welfare coordinator. And I asked you why. Was it because it was meant that we would fail? Because it meant life-saving work would stop? Because watching us collapse was worth celebrating? That isn't leadership. That isn't compassion. That's betrayal. When I read your statement that we spend too much money on certain animals, it broke me. Because let me ask you, what does that even mean? Are you saying that the dog who'd been shot, bleeding, broken, and terrified should have been left to die because saving him cost more than you're comfortable with? These aren't numbers on a page. These are lives. They're souls who feel pain, who feel fear, who feel love just as deeply as we do. And I will not, and I cannot stand by while everybody reduces them to a price tag. Because when you tell me they cost too much, what I hear is that their suffering doesn't matter, that their second chance isn't worth fighting for, that the work we pour our hearts into every single day is meaningless in your eyes. And I promise you this, I will never ever look into the eyes of the animal and tell them that their life is too expensive to save. If that's what you expect, then you will have to be the ones to do it, because I will not. I also read in the newspaper that the commission claimed to offer us health insurance. If that was true, we would have it. The reality is we don't even have sick days or vacation. For one brief month, we did, until a commissioner came down and stripped that away. Do you know what that means for me personally? It means my mother, who is dying, goes to her appointments alone because I can't take the time to go with her. Those are moments I will never get back, and yet here I am, giving everything to this work while we're being told we aren't worth the same dignity or care as any other county employee. This has been nothing but a witch hunt, a game of who's to blame, who's in the right, who's in the wrong. But it was never about the animals, was it? It was always about power, about who you didn't like, who you want in charge, and who you can control. And here's the truth. There's so much more that could be said tonight. We could go back and forth for hours. But I don't have that fight left in me when it comes to this commission. The only fight I have left for is the animals. And when we leave the shelter, I will leave knowing that those animals will never be treated as just a number. I will leave knowing that they won't be labeled too expensive or written off just because Fayette County can now call itself a kill shelter again. We could have worked something out. We could have found common ground, but I refuse to work for people who point fingers, who refuse to take blame, who tear down instead of building up. So tonight I stand here not for me, not for my staff, but for them. the voiceless, the broken, the ones who have us to fight for them. And I ask you one last thing. When history looks back on this moment, what do you want it to say about you? That you chose politics and power, or that you chose compassion? Because compassion or the lack of it leaves a legacy. And right now you're writing yours. Thank you.
My name is Adam Ramsey. I'm the kennel manager at the Fayette County Animal Society, and I probably held that title for almost a year now.
No, excuse me, state your name again.
Adam Ramsey.
Adam Ramsey.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
In that time, I've worked beside some of the best, hardworking, most dedicated individuals I've ever met. These people are more than coworkers; they become family. And like any family, we've celebrated small victories together, but we've also carried the weight of constant struggle. Tonight, I'm standing here just as an employee. I'm standing here as a voice for my team, for the animals in our care, and for the countless people who quietly give everything they have to keep that shelter running day in and day out. Let me start with something that says a lot about the disconnect we feel. In the year I've worked here, I've never once met any of the county commissioners until a week ago. Now, let me be clear, we don't need a pat on the back. We don't expect praise, but we do expect honesty. We do expect respect. What we don't expect and can no longer accept is being treated like we're disposable, like we're in the way. It's heartbreaking to watch the management try to stand up for us only to have their hands tapped by people in power who smiles to our faces, then turn around and stab us in the back. The kind of treatment creates fear, not trust. It creates silence, not solutions. We're afraid to even welcome volunteers sometimes because we've seen how one photo can taken out of context and turn into a public shaming on Facebook. We are out here every single day cleaning, feeding, healing, and comforting, doing the very best we can with that little we're given. But the moment someone doesn't like us, it tears down like we're nothing. Let me ask you, what kind of message does that send to the people who are doing the hardest work in the county? We get no health insurance, no sick days, no vacation time. That's just not wrong, it's disrespectful. You can bring in someone new with a salary and full benefits, but the people who've been breaking their backs, the people who have held this place together get nothing. We don't need a go-between. We don't need another layer of red tape. What we need is someone to have the decency just to talk to us, work with us, listen to us, and see us. And let's talk about the animals. Since the day I started, the shelter has been overcrowded, and it's not because we're not trying. We find homes, and the next day animal control brings in 20 more. It never ends. We can't keep up, not for the lack of effort, but because we're drowning in a system that won't give us a life raft. When the commission finally came to the shelter, not one of you asked to meet the staff. The staff who feed, clean, medicate, and rehabilitate and love these animals every single day. You didn't ask what we needed. You didn't ask what would help us succeed. Instead, you came to gather information to make it better for the people who are taking over. So I have to ask, why couldn't you work with us? Why didn't you stand beside us? And why didn't you stand up for the animals? We've never been asking for much, just honesty, support, and the chance to be heard before decisions are made without us. Because at the end of the day, we are not just employees, we are caretakers, we are advocates, we are the last line of defense for the forgotten, the abused, and the unwanted. I just got one more thing to say. I just want to say a huge thank you to my director, Fallon, for everything you do for us. Don't think it don't go unnoticed. Because when I was at my lowest, just look for someone to give me a chance so I can get my life on track. And at my interview, you told me you'll give me a chance and expected to give me to give my all. Until this day, I'm still giving my all and couldn't be more happier with how far I've come. This position has taught me so much and helped me build myself back again. And for that, I can't thank you enough. With that being said, I want to thank all y'all for coming out and showing your support.
Very good. Are there any other staff members that wants to say something? Okay. All right, we're going to start with public comments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll do 2 minutes each by the public. Did you want something you want to add?
Do that after
Okay.
you're done.
First is Mike Smithson.
Hello, everybody.
Announce your name.
Mike.
We're broadcasting out so they can hear you.
Yeah, Mike Smithson from Glen Ferris, West Virginia. Trying to figure out what really we're here for. You know, we're supposed to work together. I know by code that you guys don't have to fund Humane Society and all this kind of stuff. But it seems like there's been an animosity, and they've already mentioned it. You can see it on the videos when you go back and look at years past. I don't know why that is, but maybe we need to get past that. Also, I think that the commission, all the animal control people, all the Humane Society need to work together. I've talked to 5 different animal shelters today, and I hear this. That either the commission doesn't want to work with them, they lack of funding, they separate. Now that the Humane Society is in worse condition than it's ever been. And I actually asked Marshall Clay to be here tonight because I think this could be a state problem. You guys need to ask for funding for these people. You need to ask them for help. And maybe get together with all the other counties and do this. You know, before we make any kind of wild decisions. We just went through this kind of stuff with American Water. If you don't recognize, I was there in that situation. So I don't rush to judgment. You know, go slow. That's what I preached before. I've got more than 2 minutes, but I got a ton of stuff we could talk about. But I come to the conclusion. First of all, I'm always late to the party. You know, I travel a lot. I didn't get in depth in this thing, my mistake. But I did look up the codes, and you guys aren't obligated to pay for this stuff. I get that. But in the codes, it does say if you're gonna do it, then and make the rules for it. You know, that's cool. But then you should also help them out with the money factor. So I don't know where this goes from here. I don't know what you're trying to accomplish right now. So maybe you can speak to that. I do know that, here comes the bad part. I do know that I watched a video. I can't tell you the date because I forgot to write it down. But one of the commissioners.
Time's up, sir.
One of the commissioners were talking and kind of in a question and a statement at the same time, talked about, they asked the person at the podium, well, you're a 501c3, just like other 501c3s. I'm not sure what that meant. Was that kind of a threat? Not a physical threat, but a threat to hold money back? You know, somebody already made the decision that whatever it is, that didn't really look good for the commission. What else can I shoot here?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Smithson. We'll,
Thank you, sir.
Tina Fisher. Oh, Tina.
Thanks for having us this evening, but I think we're all here for one reason.
State your name. Go ahead and state your name. People are listening in.
Tina Fisher.
Okay.
I think we're all here, every one of us are here for them 4-legged critters that's sitting there in that animal shelter. This staff, I know they're overworked, underpaid, whatever you want to call it. But them animals are what's the most important thing to all these people sitting here behind me. And, you know, this isn't just the first time that Fayette County has been through this. You know, I think we've all been here before under New River, when it was the New River Animal Shelter or whatever they was called back then. I'm not sure. And if I'm not mistaken, the director was arrested or something. I can't remember. I mean, I moved to Fayette County 13, 14 years ago, and that was a big to-do back then. Again, we were all sitting here you know, 10 years ago or 5 years ago, however long it's been with New River. I don't understand why Fayette County can't step up for these animals. You know, it's not their fault that they've got deadbeat owners that just lets them wander around. We've got leash laws in Fayette County. Do we still not have leash laws in Fayette County? There you go. You know, I mean, and I guess my biggest question is, when people are arrested for animal cruelty here in Fayette County and they have to pay fines, where does that fine money go to? Does it go to the animal shelter to help them take care of the animals? Is there fine money? Where does that go to? I mean, is that a legitimate question? I mean, if they did have money, if they did pay money, should that not go to the staff to help the animals that was mistreated? Golly Bridge, how many animals did they just get in for animal cruelty? 5 or 6? Yeah, Alloy, Oak
Okay.
Hill,
Tina, thank you. Your time's up.
yeah.
Crystal Acres. State your name.
My name is Crystal Akers, and I have been a volunteer for the shelter for many, many years. I have, watched the ins and outs. When my Aunt Betty Kraft was, in Oak Hill and all around the town doing adoption events and vouching for the animals of the shelter. I have been accused as a volunteer that I am on one side or the other. I am not on no side. I'm on the animal side. I have given my free time that I have not paid, that nobody has paid me for. I have given my free time to these animals. Instead of going shopping, I'm down at the shelter. I've spent all my Saturdays doing adoption events and pretty successful at it, because I have a passion to get those animals out of there. I am not on one side or the other. I was disrespected on September the 6th by the director of the animal shelter when I was already prepared and planned to go out and do an adoption event to get these dogs out of there, but I was prevented from doing so. I am not on either side. I have given my full attention to the Fayette County Humane Society. I've given all of my time to the Fayette County Humane Society until the day they disrespected me. Now, for my rights, and my protection, I haven't been able to go back down there because of the false allegations that has been made to me as a volunteer of this community, trying to get the animals out of the shelter. A year and a half or two ago, me and my daughter tried to do adoption events. My daughter, Maria, tried to apply to be on the board to try to get these dogs out of here, but we was denied the right to do so. I am here for the animals. I am not on one side or the other. About 2 months ago, the director asked me to be on their board of directors, and I admitted to that because I have been doing that the whole time anyway, so I might as well go ahead.
Okay, Ms. Akers, thank you. Your time is up. Judy Moses.
I didn't want to speak. I signed the wrong paper.
Oh, okay, you signed the wrong one. Okay. Shelley Johnson.
You're gonna have to give me a couple minutes.
Okay. All right. Do you need a chair or anything?
Nope.
Okay.
I just pulled back in from Cleveland this morning at 6 o'clock. I've been testing to get me a set of new lungs. My daughter is found in Wakefield. I claim it. She's my baby. I have watched my child cry nonstop. When I know you're not on Facebook, However, it was a Facebook frenzy. I had to look away. They accused her of sleeping with one of you. Which one would it have been? Is what my question is to you. They also accused her of having a criminal background. She doesn't. I'm her mother. She can't come to Cleveland. Why? She has no benefits. She's got to save the animals. And as her mother, which I have a terminal, I'm looking at, if I don't get loans, at least 3 years at best. I have watched this child that I birthed. Okay? I taught her how to drive. She doesn't like to drive in snow. She's scared to death of it. But I will tell you one thing she did do. My father, I had to put in hospice. I tried to keep him at home because that was his wish. He served this country for 20 years and 7 days. And that's important because he stood up where most of us wouldn't. He told me I couldn't go into the service because I'd cry if they started to talk to me. He's right. I got a tender heart. Okay. So when my dad was laying over at hospice in Beckley, it was winter. My dad passed away December the 23rd at 5 o'clock in the morning. I watched my dog, that child that people had been bashing, drive herself work, drive herself over to the hospice house. And yes, it snowed a couple of times. And yes, she was scared. But she loved her grandfather. That's why she took on the responsibility to take care of him until his last breath. So I don't know where the common ground is. I have spoken to you. I actually try to speak to him. You are the prosecuting attorney. We play phone tag. I got this thing on my phone. I don't know how I got it on there, but it reads spam for everybody. They don't deserve what they got. They
All right.
really, truly don't deserve what they got.
All right, Ms. Johnson, your time's up. Thank you very much. Rachel Davis.
I'm educated, citizen, voter. I am a human with compassion. I think we all try to practice that. I don't know all the intricacies of what went on between the county commission and this shelter, or the intricacies between the county commission and the previous shelter, but it sounds very similar. And animal control is a public issue, and we appreciate that the county commission does take steps, and they don't have to try to create an animal control situation with the shelter that they offer. So that's well and good. But as a primary function, it's to protect both the humans and the animals from harm. So one of the things that I'm hearing is that the county commission took away the animals' transportation recently. I don't know if you realize you intentionally created harm to the animals that then couldn't receive their medical care or the attention that they needed. Conversations needed to have been had. Questions needed to have been asked. As easily as I'm sitting right here in front of you right now, you could have asked. So are you aware that through your power play, or whatever you want to call it, of removing their transportation, that you intentionally did animals harm through neglect? So I don't also know where you go from here, but I know it isn't like this. I know you do need to do differently, and you do need to do better.
Good luck.
Thank you. Kayla Dillo. I said that right.
That's me.
And if I messed up your last name, I apologize.
You call me whatever you want. It'll be all right. I have a couple questions and I guess you guys can't, I'm sorry, I'm Kayla Dilla. I don't know that you guys could answer me correctly right now, but I see that you're scratching stuff down on there and I would really like some answers to these things because these have been heavily on my mind. I've been volunteering with Fayette County Humane Society for a little over a month now. And my first question I want to address is, you guys gave them this building and you give them $250,000 a year to fund the building, right? So why is it that you've never stepped foot in that building long enough to actually see what's going on if you actually care? Okay, I sure as heck would not tell my employees, hey, I'm just gonna pay you guys to give you my building and then I'm never gonna come down here and see what's going on. And secondly, when I called and talked to Ms. Ruth about taking care of the bull situation, I was told, oh, this is the first I've ever heard about that. I could probably tell you, it took me less than an hour to go in there and see that these animals are so overpacked and so understaffed that they can't be properly cared for. You guys live here and you're telling me you couldn't go spend that much time down there to know what's going on? Tell me why. I want to know why. And then third, my question is, everybody that works in that shelter is 30 and under. Everybody on this board is clearly over 30, no offense. When this group went to Facebook crying for help, pouring their heart out to you guys, why don't a bunch of respected adults that are much further along in their life turn around and meet them with the posts that you guys put up? That we did this, we did that. There was never a guys, all right, let's get together and handle this. There was never a let's sit down and talk about this. Let's get to the bottom of this. Because, I mean, from what I see, it looks like you guys didn't care. Hey, they made us look bad, so let's just do what we gotta do to get rid of them. And now the animals are still just sitting down there suffering, okay? I've been in that shelter and watched these people work their behinds off. And by the time they get done with running one row of dogs, then they turn around and go back and do it again. I pulled dogs out of that shelter with their feet bleeding because they had been sitting in their poop and their urine for so long. It didn't take me that long to go down there and see what was going on. And you, sir, whenever I met with you at the fundraiser, I asked you, why is it that you guys aren't working with the sheriff's department to enforce your spay and neuter ordinances to try and keep these shelters from being overpacked? Your response to me was, what good would that be? Which just tells me that you guys clearly have no idea what kind of crisis that we're in with these dogs. So please answer those questions for me at the end of this, because this is like, I'm literally shaking because I'm so upset. You've got dogs down there that are suffering, and these people that are trying to take care of them are suffering, and then they're not being able to say, hey, we can't take any more dogs. I mean, Raleigh County does it.
Okay, thank you, Kayla. Your
Yeah.
time is up. All right.
You ready? You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to lay a little groundwork that might answer some of the questions that came up. The arrangement that Fayette County is required to have an animal shelter because it has an animal control officer. In the past, for many years, and when I first came here, I don't believe it was the head of New River who was prosecuted. I believe it was whoever preceded New River, because I was
Working there and she passed away.
yeah, I was in the prosecutor's office at the time, and I remember that happening. So that was probably 2014 or 15, and then New River came in.
Very far.
So we have contracted with humane societies to independently operate and run that shelter. So we provide the building, we maintain the building. We also provide, at least this year, $215,000 a year for salary reimbursement. So we take over a lot of overhead. Another thing, and we do this through a contract with the Humane Society that's going to run. So they agree to what they're going to do, and then we agree for what we're going to do. Now, we went above and beyond that because we did provide 2 vans, and we do own title to those vans. We were insuring those vans. We were paying for
accounting services. There were some questions about, what happened with the vans. We had a previous regime a while back that stole one of our vans and left it out of state. So what we were trying to do is take precautions to make sure our vehicles were not out of state, that we knew where they were, but we gave them full permission to use them. They just needed to come back and let us know where they're gonna be and check in with us.
There was none of that.
Well, I would like the
Listen,
opportunity
listen.
to finish speaking, because I certainly did sit quietly through a lot of those comments, right? So, but this model has been problematic for us. I mean, you're right, was it Foster, where you said that we've had this issue before? We have had issues. The struggle with New River, had a lot to do with some of the people on the board thought the Fayette County people weren't good enough to adopt animals. People were not able to adopt animals. They would, we had a woman whose animal was hit by a car and had surgery, and they wanted her to pay off the whole bill right away. She was on a fixed income, or else her dog was gonna get a rescue the next day. Some of you might have seen that on Facebook. There were a lot of issues. That we tried to work out with them, and it didn't work. And then here came Fayette County Humane Society. And then we had some issues with the original director in that Humane Society. So I don't believe that model works. And one of the things we're here to do is figure out, because we are here for the animals too. That is why we're here. That's the reason we all took the time to schedule an evening meeting to allow everybody to come, because we care about the animals. So we want to make sure they're okay. And we had heard a lot of concerns, and we raised some of them during our March 5th meeting. The shelter director presented her budget at that meeting, and at that meeting, you know, we granted her even more money than she requested. There has not been a subsequent request. In fact, all of us urged her, and I in particular urged her to let us know if there were anything that she needed. So I'm not sure where all of this is coming from, that we do have an excerpt from that meeting that I think we can play if we have sufficient time, but all three of us, you know, were expressing support, and then we're surprised by all the communications on Facebook. We still have not received official notice from the Humane Society Board that it plans to end the contract. We had to read that on Facebook, just like we did when the pipes were frozen at the shelter that we own and maintain. I found that out in the press, and I read it, and then I jumped on it, and we started working on it. Had they done what our chief of maintenance told them to do, those pipes wouldn't have frozen. But that didn't happen, and then they froze. So anyway, I believe my colleagues probably have things to say, but I wanted to lay the groundwork for how the thing is structured. Do you want me to address any of these questions, or do you want to address them?
We'll do them, but I think, do we have the video to show?
Can I ask a question? Is this video for the public as well? Was
Yeah, it's online also.
available to the public?
It's already online. It's the video of our March 5th meeting.
Was any of
It's
the
on-
complaints?
It's on
addressed
YouTube.
then?
Excuse me?
Any of the complaints that you all been bombarded with, was any of those addressed at that meeting?
This is the budget meeting.
Okay.
You're just asking for the 206
I would love to find out about what's happening at the shelter, because I don't know you have a problem, and I know my colleagues don't, because I'm texting them. We don't know you have a problem. Way tells us and report that stuff, but when your water was out, for example, we control that building. That's something we need to get involved with. Right? Get that fixed for you, you know, when you're, after you have a problem, you might be able to help with. I would like to know that, what's going on. But so if you're talking to people about budget problems, you know, talk to the people who are providing money first, you know, before you go to the press. And not that I have a problem with the press being involved, I know the press very important for a lot of reasons, certainly getting volunteers and adoption. I've liked some of your events. I was really impressed with some of the things that you've done so far, and I realize that you're doing the bigger events. But some of your adoptions, like that, I've seen you a lot more active a year and a half than in the past. And so I think you're doing a good job. I think there are things that we need to work on as far as helping you all understand the role the board has versus the role you as the director of Humane Society, to make sure those things are ironed out. No ambiguity there. You were like to improve Humane Society and your board. That's how it should work. It should be in a gray area between them. And we're gonna talk with Clint about having meetings with you guys, especially meetings. About having some meetings, trying to help you guys work that out. I know John has attended some of your meetings. So anyway, you know, we want to help you succeed. And we've got to do things when you, one of the things we need to do is like for you to come to us right away. So we, you know, if we're in a position to help, that we're able to tell us we want to be able to.
What, I understand, that Mr. Taylor said, the people we're not, secret about it, we're actually not the, not, maybe have to do what we're saying before. The people, about what happened, how it happened, why it happened, and hear from us, and not what we thought, how, we can't stop us without, good information that we can solve the problem. However, we have said, we see an organization that you are basically.
And that means nonprofit.
But you help, but which is the small, you have to let it out. Doesn't say that you can have to find a nonprofit. And that's what we're. You want leadership of you. Let your girl take it on the road. You can have a president, that's their leadership. And then we're going to be transparent with us.
And yeah, to be clear, I'm not saying don't put it in the press, I'm just saying, if you want help fixing the problem, come to us first. You know, you can do, I'm not going to. I'm trying to get your perspective to helping and everything, and so just let the county administrator know there's something we can't do, like I said. You know, so you tell us, but I mean, I don't want you to think you can't go to the press about any problem. You know, I'm just saying, also come to us, because we have to build, something wrong with the building, I'd like to know something's wrong with buildings. It's working.
What we're saying, this is a very important thing. Okay, very wonderful, as soon as possible. And our success in the county. And all this communication with us, and then we can allow them what to get done, how things, how they're fundamental, you know, the people they gather about it. And we have to be very responsible. So we want to work together. I made a good meeting with the president, your organization. I think he's going to be able to see what we got there and a great job. But we may just modify, change, modify, and you will be more successful. You will be one. You will enjoy the benefits of it. And again. And we're going to put the detail as we go. And we'll probably get questions for that. So we will invite like the, maybe the later one, so all of work that. Most of it will be a lot of things that you want to work out.
Okay, that was the March the 5th meeting where Fallon gave her budget and we increased the amount of employee pay instead of letting her do the video, the amount that she requested. Can you go to the van text, please?
Can you guys turn this up just a little bit? Some of us don't have real good hearing, like myself.
Yeah, we don't either, and I had trouble hearing it. I understand. The good news is that's on YouTube on our March 5th meeting, so that's.
All right, on Wednesday, September the 10th at 8:45 a.m., I received a text from Fallon. It says, "Hi, John, received a letter from your attorney and I wanted to clarify a few points and raise some serious concerns. First, not a single item has been removed from the shelter. While we did pack items and place them in the back room, nothing has been moved off property. Second, has the commission considered the immediate impact of requiring us to hand over keys today? As of now, if any animal requires medical care, we're not able to transport them. We will not be able to handle trash removal. We will not be able to move animals for scheduled transport on Saturday. This places animals in a very vulnerable position and sets us up for failure. If anything happens to those animals during this time, liability and responsibility will fall on us, despite the fact we have not been given the resources or opportunity to ensure their safety. I would appreciate clarification on how the commission expects the urgent matters to be handled moving forward." I answered, "Let me get answers, and the cat issue should be fixed. Please keep me updated on that. We'll get you answers and we'll let you know." The cat issue was that animal control is bringing cats in, and that should have been stopped. And at that time, that was the first that I heard of it. She said, "Thank you." Then she said the keys will be dropped at 4 if I don't hear anything back. My response was the keys need to remain at the shelter, but no one may operate the vehicle unless they get approval from Ruth first. Just write the purpose the vans will be used for and get pre-approval for the weekends. Nothing major. You probably already leave the keys there for the weekend anyway. Just need to inform Ruth where you're going ahead of time. Any other questions? I think that is it. Thank you. You're welcome. I think both sides are in defensive mode instead of just working things out and trying to work on the issues. I'm here to help you, so I'll check my phone throughout the day if you have anything else. Also need the link for the cool oil lamp thingy. They have this little thing in the office that puts off different things. Let's see here. I said, "Okay, thanks. Fallon, you can straighten this out. People get the facts. I share with you concerning the vans. It seems the gossip machines are putting false information to the news over Facebook and even put the attorney's name on the reports." She said, "Yes, and yeah, I seen it. It's everywhere. The whole situation is a huge mess." I said, "Yes, it is. Are you going to make a statement or what? Please copy me on this if you put something out. I'm trying to assist, but there's things like this that happen that make it difficult. Yes, I can make a statement and thank you." So the commission did not take the vans. We were just asking that, Ruth gets notified of where you're going with the vans and when they're taken care of. And it was between Fallon and I did it. I sent it to the commission. Everybody was in agreement.
The letters from a lawyer said if I don't comply, We will be forced to take all actions that the facts and law permit. That is a letter from your lawyer. We will abide by that and not what you say in a text message.
What-
If you wanted to give us permission to use the vans, you could have had the attorney do it.
What does
I'm
it
not-
say
I'm not-
before that though,
I'm
Andrew?
not going against the lawyer's real, wishes because of what you say in a text message. I'm not doing that.
Like a strap. Do you have a copy of it with you? I mean, I can pull it up on my laptop. The whole letter, would give this context, but that's not what the letter said. The letter said that this is.
This is the exact letter I need.
I've got the whole thing.
Come up and read it then.
Here.
Read the whole letter.
And it's addressed to Andrew Warwick, not myself. I have been retained to represent the Fayette County Commission regarding the contract between the county and your entity. The county has been advised to never officially inform that you intend to breach the contract to provide services to the county by unilaterally ending the contract. In connection with this termination, we understand that you intend to remove items from the shelter, as the shelter contains property that is owned by the county. Before you remove any items, the ownership of that item must be determined. As a result, the commission, through its designee, will work with your designee to inventory property to determine ownership. To the extent you have previously removed items, I request you provide a list of the items that you removed from the shelter by September 16th. To the extent you do not comply, we request to be forced to take action in the facts law permitting. Additionally, the county is providing their entities use of 2 vehicles. These vehicles are unregistered and insured by the county. Registration is passed for one of them. As this junction, any employee resident of Fayette County Commission is no longer permitted to operate this vehicle without the express written consent of the county. Please ensure the vehicles are secured and located at the shelter, that the keys turned into Ruth's County Administrator. These keys must be turned in by the end of business September 10th, 2025. To the extent these vehicles are not physically located at the shelter at this time, it is later you have permission to operate the vehicles to be located to the shelter. This authorization expressly does not extend to any other use. Failure to abide by this will result in referral to the appropriate law enforcement agency, as well as the pursuit of any and all civil remedies to the extent permitted by law. Now, obviously, I'm not as smart as all you guys, but I took that as, don't drive that thing.
So. Next.
Part of our MOU that we have, which is a memorandum of understanding. Hopefully you can hear me now. MOU is a memorandum of understanding. That's the contract between the contract between the Humane Society and the Commission. One thing that we asked for was adoption fees from all animals that were brought in by animal control. For this point, we have not received any payments from any adoptions that brought in by animal control.
Can you clarify? I don't understand. Why you're asking her? Why do you want it? That's how you go to the Humane Society, not to you to lie your phone.
And we sent
Yeah,
the
it's all
MOU
things
back
that they
the
have said.
February the 5th.
You guys really are a joke.
We got it right here.
I'm good with people.
Now, stay in this, but let it come.
No, because I'm not gonna sit there and listen to feed your heads full of lies anymore. They're too good to go down there. They're too good to adopt. That money should have gone, my $85 for a cat.
I adopted my dog from there and I've been there.
Congratulations.
Okay,
You heard her say
fair,
it.
my $85 that she tried to save my son's kid that had just had two week old babies die.
Everybody can see this.
She tried to save, she couldn't be saved.
All right, ma'am. We need to have some.
No, don't
Go
change.
ahead.
You're a
Go
joke.
ahead, Michael.
I emailed.
So let's clarify the adoption fee issue, and let's just clarify a couple of things. There's a,
You want me to get the money?
Yes.
Can you tell us
So-
who you are?
Yes, my name is Mike Taylor. The attorney for the Fayette County, outside counsel for Fayette County Commission. we need to make sure that we all understand the nature of the relationships here. The county, by statute, is required to have an animal shelter because we have a dog warden in this county, okay? Under West Virginia code, the county commission made contracts with a nonprofit entity to operate the shelter, okay? The county commission entered into a contract with the Fayette County Humane Society to operate the shelter on behalf of the county. The Fayette County Humane Society is not the animal shelter. They are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, organized, incorporated, and recognized by the state of West Virginia through the Secretary of State's office as an independent business, okay? Pursuant to the contract, it is their obligation, the Humane Society's obligation, to employ sufficient number of personnel to operate the shelter. So these employees are not employees of the county. They are employees of the nonprofit entity, the Fayette County Humane Society. Okay? Pursuant to West Virginia law, that any adoption fees that are given, any adoption fees that are a result of the animal control officer taking an animal and impounding it at this shelter, if that animal is subsequently adopted pursuant to West Virginia Code 192010, by law, the county commission must have that money. That is a statutory requirement. That was in the contract. The other thing within the contract is, again, the employees of the shelter or of the Humane Society are employees of the Humane Society, not of the county. It's not the county's decision to provide health care or not. That's the private employer's decision to do that. The county, however, as a basis of supporting the shelter, did provide a budget for the shelter to operate. And that budget included payment to go towards their payroll, an amount that they requested. The Humane Society is essentially a vendor providing a service to the county that the county is required to provide to the public, okay? So the county commission, by contract, did not operate the day-to-day operations of the animal shelter. By contract, the Fayette County Humane Society is responsible for the day-to-day operations of the center. The contract lays out all of the terms of the relationship. This was a contractual relationship between the Humane Society and the county. The Humane Society, through Facebook or wherever, has indicated to the county that they no longer want to operate under the contract and no longer want to operate. The county didn't breach the contract and kick them out. They decided to leave. All right. So with that said, that placed the county in a position of determining what it needs to do in the future with respect to this shelter that they're by law required to operate.
And so what's that gonna be?
So
I noticed, I don't think that a decision has been made.
They've already
publicly.
Oh, you did.
They're hiring people.
The reclaim fees that they asked for, we have been trying to get an exact number on that since I've got involved with this. John Brenneman has said at our meetings, and we've talked about it. We've asked you to help me give a number. What do we tell them? $10, $50, $25, whatever. They said, come up with something. We come up with something. We put it in the revised MOU, sent letters to Ruth right here. The last we'd ever heard about it was the MOU has not been reviewed by the lawyers. That is what we have. We cannot give you money for the adoptions if we don't know what you want. We have been trying to get that from you guys. Since I got involved with this, we have been trying, since Tom Luisis was on there, we have been trying to get a number. What's the number? And how much do you want for the adoption that your animal control officer brings in? Is it $5? Is it $10? Do you want the whole adoption? What do you want? We've been trying to get that.
what does the adoption fee going to the commission, what does that do?
It is segregated into a fund to go towards the to pay for the dog warden and other animal control operations by statute. That is what it's supposed to be doing.
So really nothing back towards the animal.
That was.
No, and
Animal control operations, the adoption fee, but again, to be perfectly clear, this is only adoption fees paid for animals that were picked up by the humane officer and taken to the shelter for impoundment, and then goes through the period of time that it has to wait before it can be adopted out. If somebody drops off an animal at the shelter, the Humane Society gets to keep that fee. It's only for the dogs that are picked up by the dog warden, the animal control
So,
officer.
but it is that fee.
and what about the cats? Is there a fee for the cats?
It's only for dogs.
It's only.
And that's what the
because it's not
contract
supposed to bring in
says.
cats.
But
We
what
got
is
forms
the fee?
with cats,
Like,
It's whatever the reasonable fee set for adoption.
which
which is what?
They're in control of the day-to-day operations of the
But
shelter.
John's
And we've been
asking for money. But John Brennan just asked for
So-
the money.
So, but I don't understand why the commission has to set the fee. They have a fee. They adopted an animal out and they accepted money for that
They tell
animal.
the commission know how much money that they owe.
so what,
They're supposed to be providing adoption reports every month on those records.
we do, they get those every month.
We requested to do, or we just voted to do an audit. And then on the day that the audit was voted on and passed, then all of a sudden on Facebook, it's announced that we're gonna leave the shelter.
Okay, well, that
Yeah.
audit that you
Bring your own.
refer to, according to John, which I was on the phone with him, you haven't done an audit since 2022.
Correct.
We
don't
haven't
have
done
to
it
do an
because the
audit.
commission did it.
Okay.
It takes a while to do it.
Let's do it.
Do
Well,
it.
I mean, we have commissioned it. We're working on finding an auditor to do the audit. But that takes time. We had to vote to pay for that first. Which is also in the contract, by the way. The Humane Society agreed to be audited at any time by the
And still
county
agree
commission.
to it. Open,
I'm sorry, I don't know if I was raising my hand to start speaking, but, Trying to say, you didn't kick him out of the house, out of the building, right?
No,
Okay, they chose to leave, separate yourself from the county commission, and you have supplied more than enough money, as the video, said, to get more than what they requested. And, they also still had, the vehicles available to them, all they had to do is ask permission. So why are y'all leaving the building?
hey, I don't question the family.
well, then I just wanna make
What's
one,
gonna happen to these animals now?
The animals are gonna stay there, and Fayette County Animal Control is hiring people to come in.
Oh,
Which
they've
they
already
do.
done.
They've already,
Yes.
they've already hired.
with-
Do we have a choice? Do we have a choice? Now, listen, I've been pretty quiet. I'm gonna speak now. Now, listen. I've heard things, we have attacked you on Facebook. I have no record of any one of the Fayette County Commission attacking anyone on Facebook. As a matter of fact, we've taken a beating and we've stayed quiet because that is not where you go. And I explained that in the meeting in March to all of them. But yet that's where you went. And we have taken a beating. We're taking a beating right now. And you're sitting here listening to it. We work, ma'am, we work for you. This is not our money. When the money comes to the commission, it does not come to the commission. It comes to the people of Fayette County. We do not take any money. It comes to the meeting. Young lady walking out right there accused me of making a statement saying, I wrote it down. She said I would make it, that, what good would that be? I did not say that. I said, if an animal control, ma'am, you have your time, I have mine. I said, if an animal control brings an animal in and you do not accept it, what do you expect animal control to do with the animal? Take it home? What do you expect?
That was never.
Ma'am, you've had your time.
I'm not gonna stand here and let you lie on me.
I know what I said. I know I was there. It was for a rule king and an adoption event. And I said, what do you want the animal control officer to do? And you said, I don't know. And I said, I don't either. I am not an animal expert. I am not.
You actually walked away from me after I asked you that question.
Ma'am, you had your time. You had your time.
Sit here and let you lie.
Then you were free to do whatever you wish, but you do not need to speak. You had your time.
Okay, go ahead.
Now listen. So I don't know the answer.
If animal control brings an animal to the shelter, they cannot take it. What do you want the animal control officer to do? What would you think? What do you want them to do? I had no. Now, here's what I did explain to her. If you have water flowing into a bucket, you don't want the bucket to overflow. There's people that feed off this water. They rely on it on their homes. You don't want the bucket to overflow. Some response, and I said this to Fallon when I was there on Friday, 2 Fridays ago, you turn the water off. You quit taking animals. Well, what about the people that don't get water through there because we've shut the flow of water off? Take it to the animals. What about the animals that have to be taken care of? If we shut off the animals coming into the shelter, what are we going to do with it?
So the answer is.
Ma'am, you had your time. You don't shut the water off. You figure out how to get the water to release from the buckets faster than the water is coming in the bucket. That's my solution. My solution would be more ducks, more Facebook. Evidently, people love Facebook, but we've been all over it, but I've not seen one picture where they've got a dog to be adopted. But I've seen John's picture on it. I've seen Allison and mine's, but I've not seen anything with a dog on it. I'm not being mean. Listen, I'm not being mean. I'm just being truthful. Now listen, you've got to adopt more animals than what are coming in. That is a good solution.
Okay, people are not adopting is what you don't understand. I've got 14 of their dogs in my store right now that I have posted every single day, gave exposure every single day, and they're not getting any attention.
Okay, so we need to get to a preventative stance at this point. This point back and forth is not benefiting anybody. I've heard some people mention, yes, we did hire some people. The original thought was that we would hire somebody to be a liaison because we could tell there were communication issues. We wanted to make sure we had somebody who reported to us, who could work with the shelter, Humane Society folks, and try to figure out what we needed to do to make things better. We had seen some concerning pictures, we had heard some concerning things, and so we wanted to get to the bottom of it. We wanted to dedicate somebody to doing that. That was the original thought. Of course, when we were left after that meeting without, when we learned through somebody looking at social media and letting us know that the Humane Society was gonna resign, and then it actually did meet and decided it was gonna end its contract. Then we had to start looking at, okay, well, what are we gonna do? You know, how are we gonna make sure these animals are cared for? So while we have not hired anymore, because we haven't had a public meeting, we haven't been able to make a decision without a public meeting. We did authorize the county administrator to post a position and start doing interviews in anticipation that we wouldn't have anybody down there still. So we do thank Fayette County for giving us at least some notice, even though we never did get it directly. One thing is, we need to discuss some business things. So our county administrator has advised us and requested that we create some kennel technician positions. Is that what it is? So I think we need to both authorize her to start hiring for a number of positions that she and the new people we have hired have interviewed.
We do not. Under law, the county can operate the shelter itself, or it can contract with a nonprofit to operate. So at this juncture, because there is no nonprofit that is available, that is going to contract with us to operate it, the county will undertake its statutory obligation to operate.
Overseeing the functions, the day-to-day work. Now, we will have county employees with county benefits overseeing the day. I would say
Yes.
55% of us sitting in here didn't know. You know, I didn't know.
Well, it just happened at our last couple of meetings, so.
What's wrong?
You didn't know what? Tina, you didn't know what?
I didn't know, like, when the animal control brings an animal in, that animal gets adopted. That's why I guess we're all here to ask.
Sure.
But the Humane Society, we knew that, we was aware of that, and we was 100% good with that. That's why we have been working, I wish I could give you an exact date, it has been months. John Brenneman knows. He sits right now, we have had talks about the price, what is the fee we give, what is the.
We have moved on to how we're gonna fix it.
I mean,
And then they move on.
These questions are being brought up because I have no.
So we're gonna focus on what we're gonna do to fix it. So I'm gonna make a motion that we authorize the county administrator to hire the number of kennel techs that our animal welfare officers recommend.
Second. Got a motion second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
This young man right here has raised his hand several times in the black shirt. Will you go ahead and give us a.
My name's John Turner.
Can you come up to the microphone so I can hear?
Can you come up?
Got it, buddy?
My name's John Turner. I live in Oak Hill. I've been in West Virginia about a year. Moved here from Kentucky. I have a lot of experience with humane societies. And animal rescue. I was on the board of our humane society back in Kentucky for about 12 years. We were really fortunate where I lived before because of the community support for the shelter. You know, we had money in the bank. We built a $600,000 building. We worked with our county, animal control staff stayed at our building. That's where their office was. That's where if they weren't busy, that's where they were. It sounds to me like with, I don't know if you guys call it fiscal court or just commission or what. But it sounds to me like you all get divorced. And it's pretty well filed. Is that what, am I hearing right?
That's what you're hearing.
You know, there are things you can do. You can do scheduled intake. If somebody wants to surrender a dog, you say, we don't have any room. Check back with us in a few days, or we'll have room in a few days. On your cats, I don't know why your animal control people are bringing in a bunch of cats. Or if they're feral cats, I mean, is that the case?
Yes, that is.
Some of them are.
Leave them alone. Leave them where they are.
When the animal control brings them in, we can't tell.
Well,
animal control no.
Well, and
If you take a cat out of that colony, another cat's gonna take its place. The best thing you do is get those cats and spay and neuter, them, take them back where you found them.
And who pays for that spay and neuter? The Humane Society
Well,
does.
there's grants, you know,
And
we got thousands of dollars in grants back in Kentucky. It was for rural areas. I'm sure there should be grants available for you all, but you have to have somebody that can write a grant. I can't. But we were lucky with our board. We had, you know, a variety of professionals on there. And on the fees for a dog that's picked up by the county. Who pays the expenses on that dog while it's at the shelter? I mean, who buys the food, who takes care of the vet bills if it needs them, and
whoever running the shelter.
okay. So they should be reimbursed part of that from there, right?
And they are.
Okay. It sounds to me like y'all needed a mediator more than anything. Because it just basically a bunch of angry people. And we've been through this in my county. You know, somebody goes to see the county judge and somebody was rude to them, or they wouldn't take their dog and all that. And the judge is calling everybody. Because the judge is worried about folks. I mean, that's just the way things work. But anyway, whatever happens, if anybody should need any help or any ideas, I'll be more than glad to help, regardless of who does this.
I appreciate that, and that's one thing, I think we need to repurpose one of these lists we have here for anybody who does, because I think in talking about what structure might work better, we still need a fundraising entity, so people can donate food and things to the shelter, so we were considering doing kind of like some other counties like Putnam have done, and have a small nonprofit whose job is not to run the shelter, but is to organize adoption events and do the things that volunteers do best, organize the volunteers, raise money, ask, organize donations and manage the donations and stuff like that in concert with the people operating the shelter, but we
Regardless
just.
of how it works out, if I can be of any help, I'm glad to. You know, we had big fundraisers in ours. We had a thing called Pack for Pets that we did every fall. Bringing in about $12,000, you know, for 2 nights or 2 days. So there, you know, there's.
Exactly where you.
Central Kentucky is where I lived, Center College in Danville, Kentucky.
Wow.
And like I said, we were fortunate. We had the college there. We had a lot of help from students. We had college people on our board, people that knew people. I didn't know anybody there because I retired and moved to that county.
Thank you for your offer to help.
Like I said,
And we can,
more than happy to help.
put another sign up list for anybody who wants us to reach out once we start to get that thing organized. But what we need to do now is move on to what we're gonna do to get the
Thank you.
shelter running.
We need a date.
We did contribute, 75,000 in startup funds to the Fayette County Humane Society as well, in addition to all the things you've mentioned. And that is why we were concerned about the inventory, because we've had inventory walk off, and I'm not saying they would do it. We just have to take precautions that based on the past, and it's been just about every regime in the past, and they know. Because they worked with some of those folks and knew it. And so what we need to do now is, I think we need to make sure that we authorize our staff to enter into the contracts for food and things like that. For the animals and for software and the other things that they've recommended that we need to get started. So I'm going to move that we authorize them to do the things on the list they provided.
I second the motion.
Have a motion second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, did the,
The Humane
Okay,
Society needs a date on when you guys want us out. Will you give us till the 18th?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, we're fine.
So, yes.
We never told you
I
how to
was
leave.
gonna say one other thing. Some of those dogs down there will bite people they do not know.
We will
Can you
label all
please
them.
have some of the new staff come down so we can introduce them to these dogs?
Yes, we just want to make sure everybody stays civil and,
All right.
you know, treats each other.
Everybody will be
respectfully.
safe, and we've instructed the staff to talk extra nice to everybody so that nothing gets.
Well, and we did, I mean,
And if we are able to use the van, if you guys could send me a letter from your lawyer saying that's the only way I want to do it.
we could send you a letter from ourselves. We tell him what to do.
I don't know if that'd be as good as.
Yeah, but
Like I
it
said,
would be as good. Trust me, I'm a lawyer.
Like, well, and like I said earlier, you're way smarter than I am. You
It
know
would
what I
be
mean?
as good.
So later, then we can use the vans.
So.
A lot of liability, I noticed it amongst the people like you all and the public and the people that's running it. Like a complaint was made, the deputy sheriff was there at 15 minutes after they opened. And those pictures was posted all over Facebook about 4 o'clock that evening. Everybody has seen what the shelter looked like. So it's like the public is working against the people at the same time instead of working together as a team.
Are you talking about the photos that was part of the investigation into the?
Yes.
animal
Yeah,
control?
we still don't know how those, got out. We looked into it. I heard that you knew, but didn't want to tell us.
Oh, you got, well, it's not illegal for them to do that.
Well,
It's not against the law, so well.
It's not illegal, but it wasn't proper.
If I call on you for child abuse, somebody goes into your house and takes pictures of your kids beat up and then leaves and sends pictures to the public on Facebook, that wouldn't be illegal? No? I mean, pictures from an active investigator.
So.
When Commissioner Brandon and I spoke with you that night, I invited you to disclose the information you had.
You did?
And you didn't want to tell me.
Why, for what?
You're complaining that we don't know we didn't find out how the pictures were released. We did the investigation that we could do.
He did.
And we were not able to figure out who released the photographs.
And like I said, like you told me, you did a thorough investigation. You talked to them and asked them if they did it. They said no. So what little bit I know ain't gonna make a
What you
difference.
told me, you had screenshots.
So-
And here's the reality of the situation. Our investigation is only going to be as good as the information that we have.
Investigation into what? It's not a crime.
It's not a crime, but it's certainly an issue.
Well, it's not my job to help you figure out issues. You know what I mean?
There it is. You have information that could help us get to the bottom of this, and you won't share that information.
Of an issue that y'all have, and the blasting that these people have already taken on Facebook, and then you want me to put my name out there too and say, I'm gonna, no,
We're
especially
trying to
in the
make sure it
sheriff's
doesn't happen
department.
again, because that wasn't something you wanted to happen.
Um,
So,
So the person.
but listen, we're working on the solution now. We're not working on any more finger pointing, okay?
Yeah.
So, you know, I have plenty I can say too, Andrew.
Maybe y'all want to go down and work a shift to pass.
Hey, we want our shifts here.
No. I'd like, here's my thought process, okay? Of this whole,
Man, I'm not at the point of your thought, you had your time to talk, you had your 2 minutes.
let me.
We need to get on with this meeting, it's 8:00. We need to get on with this meeting and finish figuring out what we're
When
gonna
that
do with
comes
this shelter.
Facebook, I contacted the sheriff. I contacted Ruth. I tried to get a hold of
Ma'am,
all of these other people. And guess
ma'am,
what?
you're out of order, we need to finish this meeting.
You know
All
what?
right, so with regard to owner surrenders, one of the recommendations was we pause owner surrenders for the time being, and I agree with that. I couldn't hear what she was saying.
I didn't hear it either.
Yeah. I agree with that for the time being, until we can figure out what's going on, because we're at double capacity right now. Let's see, they've all left, so now we're not gonna be able to get the list. With regard to adoption fees, the recommendation was $175 for dogs, $200 for puppies, and that's $110 for kittens, $95 for adults. That would include heartworm tests, spay neuter, vaccinations, dewormer, and microchip.
I mean, people already don't want.
Before they leave the shelter.
No.
Pardon?
I was asking if they were spayed neuter before they leave the shelter.
No, but they would be required to, it would be paid for.
Yeah. They would do it.
So they would have to go and provide the proof back is what they used to do. I'd have to see what our shelter operators wanted, what policy they think would work best. So I move that we approve those fees.
Second.
Have a motion second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye. Okay, so we know when they're leaving. So I guess we're just gonna have to ask for the list and work out the equipment issue at another time, since everybody has stomped out.
So I would like to make, and Allison, while you're gathering your thoughts, Commissioner Taylor, while you're gathering your thoughts, I'd like to make another statement. I heard something in here that was the young man in the black shirt back there from Kentucky, he said that we're getting a divorce and we need to separate our ways. Fine, we'll do that. I want the people of Fayette County to understand we've made these moves, these future moves that we've made because we have to. And simply because, not because we want to spend Fayette County money, not because we want to spend commission money, not because we think, but it is simply because the animals have to be taken care of.
Yes.
That is the main priority. And a lot of people here came in this room and they had the idea the animals have to be taken care of, but I heard a lot of animosity. Like you said, there was a lot of animosity. Well, we have to do what we have to do. And now we're going to have to put people in place that we can have some oversight over, that we ensure that the animals are taken care of, because I do agree, this has been a long, drawn out process from way far back, from previous commissions, previous 501c3s. And I agree with Commissioner Taylor, that model is just not working for us. So we are left with a decision. We're going to spend money. We're going to spend taxpayer money, and we're going to take care of our animals. And I will stand on that. And that's all we want. And I appreciate you folks for coming out today. I appreciate the people that tuned in. That means you're concerned. And we do want you to be concerned. We do want to take care of our animals.
As far as the spay and neuter program that has been here in Fayette County, why all of a sudden do we not have, like starting the beginning of this year, why do we not have a spay and neuter program here in Fayette County?
Do you want to do that?
Well,
I've got it.
I don't think we need to keep doing the false stuff.
We don't need to keep doing the folks.
I mean-
He's right. There are programs available. We have not taken advantage of the programs. And that is a failure upon many folks. We're not gonna lay the blame.
We do have a grant writer, and one of
We
his
do.
responsibilities is that we identified long before any of
Yes.
this was to start writing for grants for the shelter. We're actually trying to find, we had something on the agenda today, perhaps about buying a piece of land, to build a new shelter, and then we've learned that we may be able to build we may be able to find a place that already has a building. Somebody may raise a couple of things for us. So we are currently trying to find a better shelter and this is something that we've been talking about for years, but to be closer to 19 so that we can get more volunteers down, to get it out of the flood zone. To at least have more, I don't know if we'll be able to take more animals because staffing is always an issue, but we certainly could have more room for the animals and do more for them. So that is something that we have been actively working on all along. And so we're gonna have our own people looking for those grants and writing the grants. If anybody is interested in volunteering and helping with the nonprofit, it would be the Friends of Fayette County Animal Shelter or something like that, to help with the fundraising, the adoptions and that sort of stuff, because the government can't raise funds. So we can't accept cash donations. We can't, it's kind of tricky to accept any kind of donations for the government. So we're going to need some folks who are interested and care to step up and help us with that piece of it, because it's not going to be sustainable off of the taxpayer dollar, all of it. Like, we're going to need the community.
What is it?
Will it remain a no-kill shelter?
Yes. I mean, it's still a no-kill shelter.
Currently, it's a no-kill shelter.
But in the future.
Yeah, that was propaganda also. I mean, there were a lot of incorrect things that went out there, but
Yep, and some of it's coming from some of the people that you've got working directly with me. And that's a lot of the Facebook issues that I have seen.
well, all I know is somebody said that they spoke with two commissioners, the lady, you, I think, said you spoke with commissioners and who said it was going to be a kill shelter. I know you didn't speak to me. You didn't speak to him. So there's just a lot of incorrect information out there.
I've always stated, as long as I'm in this seat, that will be a no-kill shelter.
Thank you. So then what did you mean when you told me you were gonna give the dogs 30 days and they would be dealt with?
I did not tell you that. I said, ma'am, I will not listen to you tell me what I did or didn't say.
Listen to you lie. That's exactly what you said to me.
Ma'am, I said there are problems with animal shelters. We understand that. They are not an easy issue. So
I'm sorry, Kayla, I don't believe Greg said that. I've known Greg for years on a personal level, not because he's a commissioner. We've been friends for a long time. And I know Greg cares about the animals.
Okay, so the conversation went.
Well, listen.
ma'am, we're not going to go back.
We're not,
into-
and just
Ma'am.
in case nobody knows this, it takes 2 or 3 of us to vote for any single thing. So, if one of us, we can tell you what our ideas are, but nothing's gonna change unless it happens in a public meeting and 2 people vote for it. So, at this time, is there anything else we missed covering?
Look, can I just ask one more question that I'm?
No, I'm
No,
gonna.
ma'am, no, ma'am, you're done. You're done.
It's gonna help move the dogs out of there when you already can't move them.
We're adjourned.
We're done. It's over.